Hello. So today we're going to take a look at two common Chinese bikes, but on either end of the spectrum of price. So we're going to go from kind of like our cheap starter bike up to the little bit nicer, kind of higher end, not the highest for sure, but the higher end on the Chinese bike spectrum. So if you want to get into a bike for under a few $1,000s, you don't have a ton of options. You're basically buying a Chinese bike if you want a brand new bike. You can buy used Japanese bikes at these prices, but what we're looking at here is a $1,500 bike and a $3,000 bike. Those are your two options that we went through. We started out, this is one of my friends, this is his starter bike, TaoTao Tbr7 2021, and this is his next bike, the 2022 Lifan KPX. So I'll kind of run through you all the features on each of the bikes, and then I'll let you make your own opinion. So TaoTao Tbr7 2021 is a CG250, which is actually 230cc engine. It is carbureted, 5-speed, chain driven, and it's going to get you about 60 to 65 miles an hour after you put a $10 sprocket on it from Amazon. Like I said, it's carbureted. So if you go on any Facebook groups, if you start researching these, that is going to be the number one thing that you see people talking about. They're either upgrading the carb, rejetting the stock carb, which is this one, or just basically tinkering with it and having issues. Other than that, you change the oil, you change spark plug, maybe you change your fork oil, you change your sprocket for sure to get you that higher top speed, and these become nice little bikes. They are steel wheeled, they have front and rear disc brakes. They have on the thinner side 7/8 bars all the way across. It is not a digital dash, you can add that. It's only about $70 to add something like that. It is not an LED headlight. Again, that's like a $15, $20 mod if you want to do it. They come with pretty decent tires. This guy put a few hundred miles on his. I know I put about 2,000 miles on mine. Didn't have any issues. They didn't wear out yet. They're a nice kind of 50-50 dual sport tire. Do good on leaning into the turns and do good when you're trying to go off-road. They are completely useless in mud. This is not a dirt bike. I want you to keep that in mind. If you want a dirt bike that can jump, if you want a dirt bike that can go 40, 50 miles an hour through the woods, this ain't it. This is the old middle-aged man, balding version of a trail bike. It's really nice to putt down the trail at about 20 miles an hour. The gentleman who bought this had never owned a motorcycle before, and he had never ridden off-road also, so he was learning on this bike, and it was kind of the perfect starter bike for that. If you're really into dirt biking, you may want to go look at some of the dirt bikes from the Chinese, like the Templar X250, things like that. So again, we got steel wheels, front and rear disc. It does have passenger set. You can technically ride somebody on it. I have ridden somebody on the back of mine. 230cc engine. There are some things you can do there. There's big bore kits out there. There's valve adjustments. There's little things, power adders. People have put exhaust on them. You can check that out on Tbr7.com. They have some exhaust listed that you can modify. If you do that, you're going to be rejetting your carburetor. You can modify your airbox to let in more air. Again, if you're going to do that, you're going to need to modify your carburetor. This is, in stock form, a pretty decent bike that I like as it is for a starter bike. If you want more than that, I'm going to suggest that you upgrade. There are a lot of options. So if this was the $1,500, I look at the next upgrade as adding one gear to the transmission, going fuel injected, slightly bigger tires and wheels, and it's actually like an inch taller bike too. So that's what will get you the 2022 Lifan KPX 250. Again, looking at it, it looks basically the same, right? It's not too crazy different. I'm gonna look at them side by side. I prefer the styling of this one, but they're dual sport bikes. There's nothing crazy special about either one of them. This one, from the outside, all LEDs all the way around, has aluminum wheels instead of steel wheels. It is still dual front and rear disc. The forks are much beefier on this guy. I don't know if you can see the difference there. Those kind of look like twigs compared to these. You can feel it in the handling of this. This just feels more solid everywhere. It has 1 1/8 bars, big fat bars across the middle that you didn't have to buy aftermarket. You can buy aftermarket bars for that. Again, $60, right? All the little mods to make that bike even close to this bike. This is an all digital dash. The only modification done to this one is grips. The only real modification done to that one is grips, sprocket, and mirrors and a shifter. So nothing crazy done to the engines of either of these, just some basic cosmetic stuff. This one, like I said, is fuel injected, so you don't have to deal with the carburetor. Now, a lot of people want to say, well, if a carburetor breaks, I can work on it on the side of a trail. That's great. Our thoughts are we don't get so far off the trail that we can't push our bikes back. So we go 3 to 5 miles into the woods. We're not doing long road trips. Yes, if I were doing the TAT with one other guy and I needed the ability to completely put on a new carburetor on the side of the trail, I would probably go with a carbureted bike. But fuel injected has treated us really great. Biggest part of this is I can turn this on, press the switch, and it's going to start right up. It is not the same as a carbureted bike that you have to turn the choke on, adjust the idle, let it warm up real good before you take off. So, digital dash, aluminum wheels, front rear disc, true 250cc, fuel injected, and counterbalance. This thing will not vibrate your teeth out or vibrate all the bolts out of the bike. It's not a joke. This bike will vibrate bolts apart because it is a non-counterbalanced 230cc engine. This one has a counterbalancer, keeps the vibrations from being transferred all the way through the bike. Actually makes it a lot more comfortable on a long ride. I'll say I actually like the seat on this guy better. A lot of people don't like this hump. The seat's softer. That one's more dirt bike style. It's a little harder. Still nice though. This one has a little dirt on it from the last outing. So, any questions? Any comments? Again, 3,000, 1,500. I'm rounding up and down. You can probably get these for 1,600 now. You may be able to get one of those for a little less. Lifan KPX 250, TaoTao Tbr7. Now, before I leave, I'll show you the number one reason I like this bike. We like to go out at a moment's notice. Haven't turned this bike on in a few days. So all I'm going to do, it's in neutral. And we're idling. Show me that on a carbureted bike. Show me a carbureted bike that can do that, that doesn't have a pilot jet that's way too rich and runs bad once it's heated up.